watching a master at work.
You ready? Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
You got a sign of the apocalypse. The Four Horsemen are back. UPTV Channel 6, tell it like it is. Friday night, 8 p.m. Look what's sitting to my left.
Hey.
Who
That's
in the-
Shaniqua.
Shaniqua Jones.
Hey, man, I just say, good to be back temporarily, Time off work, come to visit the Four Horsemen. Tell it like it is. How y'all doing?
We doing excellent,
Good.
man.
How you
to see
doing? How you doing?
D.O.B.
Yeah. Johnny Dollar's back.
You know what, Joe? Before we get started, I have to say my cadoos like you did.
Cadoos.
LSU.
Bye.
That was my pick. Dollar, that was my pick for the national champion.
Yeah,
They gone.
they toss like salad.
Man.
Well,
Done. Get it out of here. We don't need to talk about it no more. Tell it like it is, UPTV Channel 6. Big Wayne, to my right. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm
How
excellent.
was your holiday,
Eddie's
sir?
pretty close.
Holiday was good. Man, you're looking like,
He is pretty clean.
you know what you look like? You either going to a grand opening or you're a defendant.
He going to grand closing.
He could be a little bit of both.
It could be a combo.
Could be doing the same thing.
Well, tonight, a lot has been in the news this week about Sean Taylor, the Pro Bowl safety for the Washington Redskins. That's what we're going to keep the show off with tonight. He was shot early Monday morning, at his home, home invasion / burglary, shot in the upper leg. 24 hours later, he passed away. Right now, down in Miami-Dade County, they have 3 suspects in custody as the show is airing right now, under questioning. They don't know if they were involved or not. The police are being pretty tight-lipped on this. I'm going to go around the horn. I'm start with Wayne. Sean Taylor, 24-year-old Pro Bowl safety, Wayne.
Sad, man. It's sad. I just think it's basically a product of, where our great athletes are coming from. I mean, it's just what I'm trying to say is the young guys that they're going to be in the NFL now, they have to learn to leave that past.
Right.
I'm not going to speculate on what happened, but it don't take a rocket scientist to know what happened. The company you keep tends to, once you start to leave those crowds alone, you get the jealousy in there, and I think that's what happened.
Bundy. One of the reports that came out is that Sean Taylor had been having a little trouble with some guys of the past, like
Trouble?
Wayne had just talked about.
Man, Sean Taylor, I hate, hats off to him. He's gone. He was a Thundercat.
A Thundercat.
What you mean by that?
Thundercat.
Thundercat, what you mean?
He was a Thundercat. A couple years ago, he got in trouble for pulling pistols. He allegedly gonna shoot at somebody. I mean, but what goes around comes around.
No. What if he was protecting himself that night?
No, he wasn't.
Did he? Okay, you
did,
said was. Did he shoot anybody?
if he did,
Did he
he
shoot
would have got
anybody?
a 4-game suspension.
Did he shoot anybody?
He didn't get a
The
chance.
bottom line, this man
But-
is dead, Bundy.
Yeah, he's dead,
You
but
know.
I mean,
The bottom line, he's dead, man. I mean,
what do you think, Dollar?
Only thing I can say is this. The man died over a gunshot to the leg. I was just saying this here a few days ago, that if I ever got drafted into the Army and they sent me over to
They ain't
Iraq,
gonna draft you.
I would tell somebody to shoot me in my leg so I can come back home.
You may not come
I
back home.
changed my mind. But hey, like you said, don't nobody really know what happened.
Right.
We can hear what the news people say, we can read the newspapers, but we just do not know.
Well, I know one thing.
Could be a woman.
We lost a 24-year-old African-American male once again to senseless violence, somebody who was just reaching their potential. He had just went to his first Pro Bowl last year. He was going into his 4th year this year with the Redskins. He had been out past couple of games with a knee injury, and now, forget football for a second. Somebody doesn't have a father anymore. Somebody doesn't have a son anymore. Somebody doesn't have a brother anymore. And as I said, we've lost another young African-American male to senseless violence in terms of that.
And
We
it doesn't
go,
make any difference if he's a Thundercat or not.
there you go.
That's my point.
Well, we're gonna go to these phone lines at 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is. Caller, are you there? Stack Girl, are you there?
She hasn't changed a bit, I see.
You know, she pushed the button
Yeah, she
and
hasn't changed a bit.
the one finger wonder.
She hasn't changed a bit.
Now, before the show, we said Stat Girl had grown up to Stat Woman.
I was just wondering if everything's the same, and I see everything's the same.
I don't.
It's a new phone system.
Okay.
You
I
know
can
what?
with that.
And she's staring at that phone like she stared at her blood test.
Right.
You study too hard, Stat Girl. Well, call her. Give us a call back, 328-8280.
Tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is. That's right.
Man,
Now,
it's good to be back though, seriously.
are they there? They're gone.
There you go.
Okay.
Call back, caller.
Just like a paycheck around Christmas.
Hey, he called back.
See, call right back. You asked for it. Well, we're going to see if we get this call on the line. 328-8280. Caller. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're calling from. Tell it like it is. Go ahead, caller.
Out of Chicago.
What's going on with you?
Hello?
Yes, sir. We're listening. Go ahead.
I think we lost
I
it.
think we lost it. It wasn't Stat Girl this time.
And I don't think he's gonna call back.
Well, you know what? To roll right into the next topic, we were just in there talking about Sean Taylor. But another interesting thing brought up, Bundy, I'm going to start off with you. Sports and violence. We've seen over the past year, Antoine Walker and Eddie Curry, both of them accosted in their homes up in Chicago, robbed for personal items, jewelry, etc. Tank Johnson, Sebastian Telfair, gunplay. Sebastian Telfair was cut loose, so was Tank Johnson. Paul Pierce back in 2000, he was nearly stabbed to death. And then we're talking about Sean Taylor earlier this year on New Year's Day, Durant Williams. What's going on in terms of sports and violence?
My opinion is that these guys are going out, they being flashy, flamboyant. They go to the club, they get all the women, they get the VIPs, and normal guys, I mean,
Nah, I don't buy that.
I do. I mean,
It's
they got this
part of
bling
the
bling on,
environment, man.
and people want it.
So, Bun, you think it's the bling bling?
Oh yeah.
You think it's putting themselves out there, so to speak, in terms of
I mean, like a couple years ago when and it happened to Antoine Walker them, they felt, I mean, why you sleep in a car? You waiting for a restaurant to open?
okay. So what about these guys that are they're wearing $50,000 and $100,000 worth of jewelry, driving fancy cars? Are you saying that by them putting that out there, are they asking for it?
Yeah, but you never know what goes on in the club. You know, you could go have that woman, you know, they might say, I want that girl right there, and that could be somebody's woman.
But
Right.
you can go out with a polo, no jewelry, this and that. The problem is, every time somebody signs a contract, it's all over the TV. You don't have to have any jewelry on. You can be driving a busted car. Everybody know how much money you worth. That's the problem.
Dollar bill?
Let me just say it like this. You know, there's a little part of you what you're saying is right, and there's a part of you what you're saying is right. But you just can't say when you get to that stature, when you living up to that finances, and you up there, you ain't gonna do the same thing you used to do when you was broke. But that doesn't mean you have to stop going to you do have to stop going to some place you used to go to
You're right.
when you was $2, $3
But at the
man.
same time, Donald, to cut you off, you got drug dealers and stuff that's out here that's able to go to some of these places that are supposed to be upscale. So,
Well, you don't want to put you can't say a drug dealer's upset.
no, what I'm saying is,
He's talking about the clubs.
I'm
and
talking about
environment.
the financial,
Yeah.
capabilities of those type of people able to be where we say these athletes should be at.
Okay.
A drug dealer, the biggest thing is they want to be up there with them people too. So here they come.
And you know what? And I'm gonna tell you something else.
Here they come.
I'm gonna tell you something else. And while you bring it up, the drug dealers and the rich professional athletes, they just don't cling sometimes, because the drug dealers can have just as much money, but still, just by him being an athlete, he's still on that.
You're
top
right, 'cause he
step.
be on TV.
Just because, hey,
No,
Prestige.
my point is, what I'm saying is, we saying they supposed to go to these type of different establishments than what they're, accustomed to going to. Once these other people that's able to do the same thing, albeit that, they came up on the street, we we all know they want to be where the stars at.
Wayne, it's like
I want to be where
the
stars at, and I don't have the money.
Joe and
See what I'm
Dollar.
saying?
It's like the young Thundercats.
Go ahead, Bundy.
It's like the young Thundercats. They be like, it's prestige honor to go back to your hood. I got Stovall's chain. Look at it. Look at it. I got it from him.
My point is, you can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah, it's true.
run,
But
but
I
you
mean,
can't hide.
you go out there like that, that's what happens sometimes. Like Dollar said, you gotta,
So
you
what are
gotta,
they supposed to do?
well, you go to them other places.
Sometimes you
Well,
know,
What did I just say, man?
yeah.
Well, I will say this in reference to what's happening with sports and violence. I think, number one, we, in our society right now, violence is prevalent throughout our society. It's not just with athletes. I think one of the things that Wayne pointed out, a lot of these guys are coming up in violent environments, and they may have obtained wealth through sports or through entertainment. But even with that, the environment that they come from is still a violent environment. And a lot of times, even if you try to escape that with your wealth, with that wealth comes some additional issues that you may not have to face if you're not as wealthy.
It's called haterade.
And there's a lot of haterade being served up out there in the world. Speaking of haterade, the media sits around and talks about how much guys make on an annual basis. We sit back and hear the $314 million that Alex Rodriguez is allegedly going to make with his new contract with the New York Yankees. They announced with Tony Romo the $67 million he signed with the Dallas Cowboys. You hear it, it's publicized, whether it's in the newspaper, whether it's on Sports Center, Fox Sports News, you name it. These athletes' contracts are publicized, and when they're publicized, it brings a lot of additional attention. My question is, should that information be public record? Start with you, Wayne.
No. We don't publicize how much the president make or the owner of IBM.
So you're just saying flat out they should not be publicized. What about you, Dollar?
It's going to be a security issue.
Well, I think it should be. I think everybody should know how much these cats are making. You know, I'm not saying, you know, to the point dollar, but I think these cats are professional athletes, and no matter what you're doing. And so what they do and how they carry themselves and what they make, yeah, people ain't gonna like to hear it, but they want to hear it.
Bundy?
As far as how
I agree with Dollar. I mean, if I spend $150 for a ticket, I won't know why I'm spending $150 for the ticket. Is it because you paying for this new stadium or you paying this player? And you know what part it goes. But like Dollar said, all of it shouldn't be publicized, which they don't. Some of it, like the little incentives and stuff, that's not publicized. They only do your base salary.
And when the contract's up, when they, like, for instance, like I'm watching the Boston game, and there's some people playing right now, this is their last year. Their contract's up. So they're playing for a spot next year. And so when the contract's up and they sign on to another team, yeah, it's going to be an ESPN. Such and signed another year extension contract for such and such amount of dollars. But yeah, I think it should be public notification when it comes to situations like that.
Well, I will say this, and if you look at, going back to our last subject, violence in sports, 3 Jacksonville Jaguar players had gun-related charges that happened to them in a 24-month period. And it was directly correlated to the fact that living in the area that they live in and people knowing the wealth that they have and knowing that these guys are high-profile athletes, that's going to bring problems to them. As I said earlier, they already got enough issues to deal with just having the money. But now letting everybody and their uncle know out there that these guys are making this kind of money, all that's doing is the old saying, more money, more problems. And I really don't think the actual dollar amount matters to the general public when it's being announced, because what does that have to do with performance on the field?
Right, you should automatically assume because he's a professional athlete.
He's making money, exactly.
Right. But so why do we have to know the exact amount?
I mean, because like, you know, when players get suspended for a game, they always put, well, you know, he losing $47,000 per game. And, you know, when A-Rod signed that big contract, Roger Clemens, they broke it down to the inning, to the pitch and everything.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off because we're going to go back to these phone lines at 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
What's going on, fellas? This is Marlon from Chicago.
What's going on?
Not much. I still can't hear y'all much. I just wanted to say that. I just want to comment on what you guys were saying.
Okay.
And with the violence in the sports, and I mean, they don't have to announce to the dollar what these guys are making, but you see them on TV, so you know they have the money. Whether that exact stat comes out or not, you know that these guys are rich, and you know that they have that money. And from spending some time in Florida and living out there, Florida's not all palm trees. And where these guys come from are bad neighborhoods and around a lot of people who are up to no good. And you can't prevent everybody from acting stupid in the world. And you can't be a hermit. You can't go in your house and just sit there. You're going to live your life with the money that you've obtained by doing what you love to do. And I mean, the world right now is at a rough place. And Florida, like I said, it's not all the beach. And they out there trying to get it. And these young kids, they said two of the guys was teenagers. One of them was a 21-year-old. These guys, all they see is the money. They see them on TV every Sunday. They watch them go to the University of Miami. They watch them come up. And they know that wealth is out there, and they want to get their part in. And I don't know if you guys can hear me, and I know I can't hear you all. So I'm going to just wait and see if you guys say something back.
Well, I appreciate, Marlon, appreciate your call. UPTV Channel 6, tell it like it is. We're really talking about a real complex issue. I don't think there's real one answer, but you did make some excellent point about, number one, these guys do have to live their life. Number two, they don't come from the best situations to begin with. And now when they come back home, there are a lot of people, there's a lot of jealousy and envy that's brought back when these guys return back home. So we appreciate you giving us a call, 328-8280, UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. You hit us any Friday, 8 o'clock, UPTV Channel 6. Take care.
All right, thank you, fella.
Okay.
And he made some good points, but just like we was talking about, man, you know, you can be the richest athlete, move your family out of the ghetto, move everybody out of the ghetto, but you still gonna go back.
Yeah,
You're still gonna go back.
You can't leave
You're still
your
gonna go back to
background
try to
behind.
improve it. You're still gonna go back to do what you can do, but there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna try to get in them pockets.
Yeah.
Gonna try you. They gonna try you.
There's always gonna be somebody gonna try to get in them pockets.
And the fact that we ain't even touched on yet, don't forget about the white collar way of getting in them pockets. We talking about violence right here. So they gotta worry about it all the way around the board.
So it goes
Right.
back to this conversation NFL had a long time ago. Should professional athletes, any sport, should they be allowed to carry weapons?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to go back to these phone lines at 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it
You know what
is.
I mean? You can get a butter knife.
Caller, you there?
I'm gonna carry a butter knife. If I was a professional athlete, if they say, hey, you can't carry, I'm carrying some kind of butter knife, a slingshot,
Box cutter.
something. You know,
Break down on mace.
You
I
might
can do
get
something.
you get somebody ptomaine poison, but
you know what I mean? But I'm just telling you, I
right.
just got to be
Got
on,
you,
you know,
man.
be on P's and Q's.
well, I tell you what, one of the things kind of move forward on this subject so we can get to some of the other topics we're talking about. The issues that we talked about here, guys not coming from the best environment. You're giving young men, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, they're turning into instant millionaires. They're going from low income to a 50% tax bracket.
And it
There's a
takes
lot,
time
and
to-
nobody's there to teach them in terms of that.
It takes time to move on to that next level.
But we'll go back to these phone lines, UPTV Channel 6, tell it like it is. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is. Caller, are you there? We're having a little technical difficulty
Hi, this is
tonight.
A lot of technical difficulties.
I think what's happening right now is
Can you hear me?
Stack Grant. No, it's not. I don't know if it is you.
Thanksgiving layover.
It could be me. It could be me.
Thanksgiving hangover.
It is what it is.
Pontificating.
Well, we're going to move forward.
Can't hear me. Hello?
Are we there? Caller, are you there?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, my name is Kim.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah. I guess my name is Kim. I'm calling from Champaign.
Uh-huh.
I really hate that when they simply categorize all of these athletes as coming from bad backgrounds, poor backgrounds, having violent backgrounds. Mr. Taylor, as I understand, his dad was a police sergeant. So to just simply blanketly state that these are individuals that come from bad backgrounds and it's simply unfair, and I don't think that's correct.
Well, I agree with you on that, Kim. Number one, a lot of guys get labeled with that based on one or two incidents in their youth, and they like to paint athletes with a broad brush. But the other issue is the old saying, if it bleeds, it leads, and it definitely sensationalizes the story if, in fact, the athlete does have something in their past that the media can exploit for bigger ratings and more readership and viewership.
Exactly. I mean, we didn't hear that story about Larry Bird growing up poor with his dad being alcoholic, him having depression issues, him fathering children out of wedlock. We didn't hear nearly the amount of that back in the 80s as we did with other athletes, that black athletes particularly, and perhaps maybe they will point out a few that had that particular problem. But thanks for commenting. Thanks for your feedback.
Appreciate you calling UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. Take care.
She told it.
Told it like it was.
Tell it like it would. Tell it like it is.
I mean, it's still amazing to me to have women call into this show and know what they're talking about. That's amazing. I mean, great job. Great job.
I didn't say that.
You think that's gonna get the phone?
How you doing,
Hey, you think
brother?
that's gonna get the phone ring?
Hey.
You think that's gonna get the
No,
phone ring?
let's go get something happen to you.
I think when he was out,
You better get your butter knife.
I'm just
You better go
hey,
find that brother like
everybody
Bundy
congratulates some. Hey, I'm just saying, kudos. Is that your kudos?
You better get your knife.
I'm back. UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is.
Woo.
Wow. How much turkey did you have for
He
Thanksgiving?
slept a whole lot.
I
He did.
ain't eat no turkey, but I ate some hog chitlins.
Did you? Well, you still got a little on your
He had
breath,
some hog maws,
and a little on
too.
your head
And
right
hog
now.
maws.
Well, let's move forward. Last night we had a big game in the NFL.
Big game.
NFC showdown. The AFC, they had the Colts and the Patriots. Well, last night down in Dallas, the Cowboys took on the Packers in a game that may decide home field advantage on the NFC side of the ball. Green Bay came out. Brett Favre looked like Brett Favre from the early 90s.
No, you like Brett Favre?
He
I
was
hope you got a lot of information to give because, half the people out there didn't even see this game.
This game was televised. If you didn't get a chance to see it, it was on the NFL Network, which we're going to get into that after we talk about the game. But Cowboys 37, Green Bay 27. Wayne, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the game?
They finally got him. Somebody finally got him. I just hate it wasn't the Bears that knocked the old man out. But, kudos to Brett Favre. He's been hanging there all this time. I think we're finna see the downfall of Brett Favre.
One of the things last night, Wayne, Brett Favre was 5 for 14 before the injury.
It's probably a good thing they knocked him out.
Right,
The
he had 2 interceptions, and that's the question I was going to ask you before we move to the other guys.
It's a good fantasy stat.
If Brett Favre doesn't get hurt last night, is this game even close?
I don't, because, every now and then he can pull out one of them 6 interception games.
Mm-hmm.
And last night was looking like he was on his way to one of them games.
Bun, what did you think about last night's game? What stood out for you?
Man, I mean, Dallas, they came out shooting guns. Brett Favre, he got hurt. So they up 27-10. And Big D, they ready to party.
Nice, dude.
Brett Favre on the
They
sideline. Aaron Rodgers, he ain't playing. Who's that? Aaron Rodgers? Who is that? And then next thing you know, boom, boom, bam. We got a ball game.
You got a ball game.
Right.
We got a ball.
Popcorn and
T.O.'s that are eating popcorn.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. T.O. did not have a good game last night.
no, he didn't.
Point blank, T.O. did not have a good game.
Dollar, he set a record.
I don't care about record setting. I don't care about all that. T.O. did not have a good game last night. I'm going to tell you something right now. I think things happen for a reason. I think Brett Favre got knocked out for a reason because I think it's Aaron Rodgers' time to take over Green Bay.
Well, it's time right now, before I cut you off, for the phone lines to take over. 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
Calling again in Champaign. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
This is Kim calling again in Champaign.
Hey, Kim.
Hi,
Brett
Kim.
Favre getting injured was the best thing that happened to the Packers last night. He really looked so pathetic. He clearly went away from the game plan. He was just winging it. He really looked like the Brett Favre of old to me.
That's
I
right.
think that Rodgers coming in there was the best thing that happened. He followed the coach's game plan. I think sometimes they give Brett Favre a little too much liberty with the offense, and it drives me crazy. Actually, this was the best season he's had in a long time. I'm sorry, I'm just rattling on.
No,
But
you
this
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
Kim,
best
you gave some
season-
excellent
this
points.
was the best
I tell you what,
season he's
Kim,
had
maybe
in a
next
long-
week we'll get you down here to UPTV Channel 6, and you can take my partner's place because you've stunned him.
She just stopped. Kim, hey, I just like to hear women's callers. I just love for women to call in and talk sports. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong
I'm
with
a
that.
huge
but
Okay?
football
There's nothing wrong with that.
fan.
That's what I'm saying. So what is y'all's problem?
We have no problem.
It's what you said
I'm a huge
earlier.
football
But
fan.
anyway,
You so
hold your thought.
Thank
We
you,
got a
Kim.
caller on the
Thanks.
line.
Thank you, Kim.
Kim, we appreciate you hitting us. We got to go to the next phone line, 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is. Caller, are you there?
I had to go ahead and comment to what Kim was saying. Now, Brett Favre getting injured couldn't have been the best thing that happened to the Packers because they still lost the game. I could understand if he went out after going 5-14 with 2 picks and Aaron Rodgers made this miraculous comeback and they beat the Dallas Cowboys, but the fact still remains that if the NFC Championship comes down to those 2 teams, it's in Dallas. And I guarantee you that everyone in Green Bay and Wisconsin will tell you that their best chance to win that game in Dallas is with number 4 under center. Nobody cares about what Aaron Rodgers is doing. He had a solid game. He came in and did his job as a backup. Brett Favre is the greatest quarterback almost in the history of the game. Let him go out the way he will, which will be with another playoff run and possibly a run deep into the playoffs and in the Dallas for the NFC Championship.
Quick question, caller. Are you a Packers fan?
You got to be.
Oh, no, I'm a Chicago Bear fan to the death of it. But I give respect when it's due, and Brett Favre has been killing for many years. A clear Hall of Famer up there along the ranks of Joe Montana, Roger Staubach, and names like that. You can't play him like he's Rex Grossman, and the next time he has a bad game, he's got to get out of there. He's earned his keep, and he's earned his place in this NFL.
Well, I agree with you that he has earned his right with the records that he set, whether it be career touchdown passes, the consecutive game streak. He's trying to break Jim Marshall. But my partner sitting to my left just made an excellent point. Career interception, and he only has 1 championship.
Win-loss record.
You know, Brett Favre is a gunslinger, and I think a lot of people really enjoy seeing that style of play when he's hot. But last night was indicative of some of the games that he's had in the past. 6 interceptions against St. Louis Rams back in the playoffs in '99. He's had multiple interception games in Dome Stadium. And last night's game, he was really having a real serious issue checking down to the open receiver and picking up the blitz. So I don't know if he was just having some issues before the game, but I will say this. It wasn't that Aaron Rodgers came in, he did a good job. It was the fact that the Packers secondary, minus Charles Woodson, they couldn't cover anybody in the Cowboys' wide receiver corps.
Third and 17, or 3rd and 18, and they throw off a 20-yard pass. It's ridiculous.
You know, I watched
I appreciate you giving us a hit at 328-8280 UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. You hit us every Friday. We'll be sitting here talking sports.
Joe, but you know, I watched the post-game interview, and they interviewed Brett Favre. He said that's the first time about 15 years that he ain't see nobody coming.
Well,
he said he didn't see him coming.
He didn't, and all he felt was a helmet on his elbow.
Oh, yeah, he hurting today.
I'll tell you something. The reason Brett Favre played the way he played last night because he knew he was the only, him and Dallas Cowboys, they were the only 2 teams on TV and America was watching. And so he was trying to, okay, I'm going to prove to America that I am the man, and he didn't.
But
so
in that comment, that just lets you know he's having fun playing. And I just think he was a little bit too hyped up.
You know, I don't think nobody's having more fun than Tony Romo, because if you watch that game last night, that dude is giggling every single play.
Oh, yeah, like Sandlot football.
Tony Romo, me too. All the pictures I've seen him on this week.
Well, Tony Romo was 19 for 30, 301 yards, 4 touchdowns. The 1 interception was caused by hot butter popcorn himself, Terrell Owens.
Ready.
Now, my question is, I heard you guys earlier say T.O. didn't have a good game, 7 catches, 156 yards, and a touchdown. But he did have that one that kind of squirted out his fingers after he shook the popcorn in his mouth. T.O., a little too much butter on the popcorn.
Didn't have nothing to do with that.
He missed several passes last night that he could have
He's
caught.
been dropping passes all year, and I'm telling you, man, if it come down to it, it's going to be in a big game. It's going to hurt him. He's going to drop a key pass in the playoffs, and you ain't going to be able to bounce back from that. Yeah. And it's going to be against Green Bay.
But one key thing,
Bun?
in New York, if they hadn't scheduled New England and Dallas earlier, we could have 2 undefeated teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That would have been, oh man, that would have been one for the record.
That would have been exciting.
That is exciting, but I will say this. T.O., when it hits him right in the breadbasket and he slings it over to Al Harris, you got to start to wonder about, all the questions, T.O., 7 catches, 156 yards, and he still looked like he had a bad game. If that's Randy Moss, or if that's another one of the top receivers in the league, or Marvin Harrison, you don't see those type of drops.
Okay, how many catches? Say that again. How many catches?
Yeah, 7 catches.
Okay.
For 156 yards.
Okay, but you got to look at one catch or 2 catches can go for 40, 50 yards. So it's not about how many. I mean, the dude missed some key passes. Dallas could have beat them by more than what they did.
They won by 10.
They could have beat them by more than that.
They won the game.
Yeah, it's important. You know, but here's the thing about receivers, okay? You know me, I'm a flashy cat. I don't mind showing off a little bit and everything like that. Because when I used to score a touchdown, yeah, I done a little dance and everything like that.
Well, if
But
you did, they
people-
flagged you.
I'm gonna tell you something. People like, what's his name? 85 from Bengals.
Chad
Chad
Johnson.
Johnson.
We ain't heard from him all year. All of a sudden, he has a good game. He wants to get the camera, do the camera type.
He lied.
Shut up,
He lied
Chad.
on TV. He said
Chad,
he wasn't gonna
please.
celebrate till they start
Your
winning.
team is garbage.
He
You
lied,
ain't
didn't he,
doing
though?
nothing. Please, just play football, man.
He lied to us, man.
Come on, man. I'm watching. Come on, Chad. Play football. You got
So,
3 touch.
so here's my point. What'd you call a good night for a receiver? What would be Johnny Dollar's good?
A good night for a receiver is you don't miss key plays. You don't miss key passes. There's some passes. Look, Randy Moss would never miss some passes that T.O. missed last night. Okay, yeah, he got 140, 50-something yards. Okay, kudos.
That's right.
Okay, but still, man, they won. They won because they had a good quarterback. They didn't win because T.O. cost him 100. He was passing. Tony Romo was passing to basically anybody he wanted to.
I mean, it's acceptable only, but from T.O. is he crying when he don't get the ball. He constantly crying. He cussing out the offensive coordinator. He cussing out the quarterback. They throwing the ball. You got to catch every one if you want the ball every time.
Right. Maybe
You
not
know,
catch every
quick
one,
run,
but catch
and
it
some
once
people
here.
give you a
Catch it
break.
once here, like bam. Look at this.
Right.
I ain't dropping
Can't
nothing.
catch them all,
I
man.
ain't dropping nothing. Bam.
That football is old as you, first of all. That's the reason why you
Tuck and
catch
go.
it. The leather is
man.
gone from that.
I'll tell
That's
you
like
what,
an old pair of shoes.
let's go to U of I and go in there, put them out of the machine, see if you bam.
Well, I tell you what, we don't want to do that.
What happened? It break his nose?
Well, he'll be eight-finger dollar bill is what it'd be. But T.O. 7 catches, 156, 1 touchdown. The big key out of all this conversation is the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are now 11-1.
11-1.
And they are leading the NFC for home field advantage going to the playoffs. They did not want to lose this game because they did not want to go to Lambeau Field in January to play the NFC
They had a
Championship
little
game.
cushion. The Bears
Yeah.
beat them again, so they had a
I mean,
Now, speaking of,
Dallas is a strong team.
Speaking of championship games, let's move back to one level below the NFL,
And it is.
BCS.
It's us.
Tomorrow night, we will find out who's going to be playing for the BCS championship
Go Sooners.
as Missouri takes on Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. Also, West Virginia, they may be there. And who's lurking in the wings?
The
The Ohio State
Buckeyes.
University. I'm going to turn to you, Bun, first of all. Missouri,
You got to turn that from
they beat Kansas last week, and now in the regular season, 11-1, and they take on Oklahoma. Oklahoma beat them 41-31 earlier this
And
season.
you're a college man, so we want to. I mean, you are. I give it to you. You are a college football man. So give us your thoughts on this.
Man, who would have thought Missouri would be #1 in the nation?
I didn't.
Nobody.
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 Who'd have thought Kansas would be up? Who'd have thought
West
that Kansas,
Virginia,
Missouri,
man.
West Virginia has
Skip
been there?
all that. What
But
about the game? That ranking don't mean nothing.
you're right. Right now, my championship game, I think it'll be Ohio State and West Virginia.
So what are you saying about tomorrow's game then?
Oklahoma gonna beat Missouri again.
It's new territory
Wow.
for Missouri.
Again.
Johnny
Oklahoma's
Dollar.
been
Okay,
there.
and here's what's going to happen to you Illini fans. Oklahoma's going to beat Missouri. Illinois will be in the Rose Bowl. And I'm telling you, this is going to be just, you couldn't ask for a better poster. It's a whole new ball game. You know what I mean?
Big Wayne?
I gotta agree with Dollar.
It's a whole new
You
ball
know-
game. The fighting Illini boys are for real.
A lot of people are, running around. They don't want to see USC. They don't want. Why not? If you striving, if you talking about a national championship within the next year or two, you're gonna have to play USC or Florida anyway.
You had to play the best to get
Get
there.
it done now. See where you stand. See what you got to work on for the next year or two. Let's go.
It's rock and roll.
Well, I'm looking at it like this. Tomorrow night, rematch down in San Antonio for Oklahoma and Missouri. Missouri were down by 10 to Oklahoma in Norman. Now they get them on a neutral field. Chase Daniels is playing some excellent football.
I give you that.
The Oklahoma Sooners only have play for pride and the fact that whoever wins this particular ball game will go to the Fiesta Bowl. And Oklahoma doesn't have a shot to go to the BCS championship game. I think they're looking to spoil Missouri's season, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think Oklahoma will beat Missouri, and Ohio State will slip into the national championship game to take on West Virginia, which then moves us to the Fighting Illini. They now have an opportunity whether to go to the Rose Bowl, or maybe even the Fiesta Bowl. Right now, a lot of people, I think, in town would love for Illinois to go to the Rose Bowl based on the season that they've had. But even if they don't go to the Rose Bowl, if the scenario we just talked about doesn't happen, they still got an opportunity to go to Fiesta Bowl. What would you say back in August if I told you that the Illinois football team has an opportunity to go to a BCS game, Wayne?
I wouldn't have nothing to say. I mean,
Would you have laughed at me?
maybe I couldn't even say Outback Bowl.
Man,
You know?
I'd have said, Joe, what you been on?
Well, look, man,
And
Illinois.
I'm one of the biggest Illinois fans
Exactly.
that
And
come.
you know what, though? Illinois surprised everybody this year.
Yeah.
It's just not us. They surprised the alums. They surprised the coaching staff. They surprised the student
They
faculty. They surprised everybody except for
Surprised
themselves.
I think so,
You know,
to
I
a certain
think-
extent.
They're one of
you
the big
can't-
three
you-
surprises in college football: Illinois, Missouri, and Kansas.
Yep.
And what that sounds like is two schools from the Big 12 and one school from the Big 10. And it was, if you'd have said that to me, I thought you were talking about college basketball.
You're right.
Not
I mean,
college football.
It's just strange, when you don't hear the names like USC, Florida State, Florida, Miami. You know, it's strange.
You don't hear them names,
You
though.
don't hear them names when it comes to this time of year. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
You hear
But now-
Missouri.
Kansas,
Well, we've rolled through the
Jayhawk,
first half
Rock
of
Chalk Jayhawk.
Danville
Tell
Junior
like it
Community
is.
College, Dak,
UPTV.
Parkland. I mean, come on, man.
Man, let me get mine.
I mean, I'm serious.
He gonna get his bat out. Don't do it.
I'm going to have to.
Don't do it.
Man, I'm middle school.
I'm going to have to bust that 5 in if he doesn't shut up. We finished the first half of Tell It Like It Is, UPTV Channel 6. If you got any comments or if you got anything you want to talk to us, give us a hit at 328-8280. Stat Woman,
Stat girl.
have you gotten the technical difficulties fixed?
328-8280.
Wait a minute.
That's a good lottery number.
You the one hitting the buttons, right?
Hey, don't worry about that. You ain't gonna be able to get there by the time the show up.
Whatever happens, happens.
He played
Well, I
on
tell you
Little
what.
JoJo's Live.
Now look. Now, don't be. Make sure that these calls get through for the second half of this show.
Joe, you getting kind of violent, man.
And that
Calm
is not
down.
good.
Joe
Hey.
Clark or Joe Stovall, man.
You know, and
They used to call me Joe Clark, but now they call me Batman.
How can they call you a friendly neighbor?
Well, you're talking about going up somebody's head.
Go inside somebody here. One neighbor.
Hey
Come
man,
on,
we ain't
man.
here for that.
Okay, then.
We ain't here for that.
Well, close that bat down.
We ain't here for that. But we here for these phone lines. 328-8280. Looks like the One Finger Wonder might have somebody for us. Caller, tell us your name. Tell us where you're calling from. Tell it like it is. Caller, are you there?
No.
We're not going to talk to the back. We're going to talk to the front.
No.
Well, you keep working on that. We're going to roll it now. One of the final things I want to talk about in terms of college football, fellas. Everybody talks about this time of year, who's number one, what's happening here, what's happening there. Playoff system. My question about the playoff system, what does the regular season mean if we do go to a playoff system, or is the current regular season a playoff? Bundy.
I would say you play the regular season for seeding purposes. I think you should have a playoff system.
I do too. I like the playoff system. I do.
You shorten it down. I mean, they went from used to playing 9 games, then they went to 10, now they're playing 12. Let's shorten it up. Let's play 9 weeks, and the rest of it like the 1 AA. Let's have a playoff system.
Or
Wayne.
just keep it like it is, and you striving to be that BCS bowl game, and the BCS bowls are your playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You know that still makes the regular season mean something.
But my question is that from the first game of the season when Appalachian State went to the Big House and beat Michigan, to last week when Kansas took on Missouri and USC took on Arizona State, every game this year has been an elimination game. If you've been ranked in the top 5 and you lost, LSU, Oregon, Arizona State, Kansas, they lost those regular season games, what happened? They fell out of the running for the BCS title game. So is that not a playoff system already built in?
Because, I mean, if you look at it, Joe, the college football, the season don't start until the first BCS rankings come out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you playing for position. It's like NASCAR, you pole position. And now once you get the first BCS standing in the middle of October, now it's elimination time. If you're in the top 10, you might have a chance to get back up there, but you need some help. But the later in the season, and the harder you are and you lose, it's one and done.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, and that's the reason why, like I said, I'm looking at what's set up now. Wayne made a point about the BCS Bowl games being your playoff system. The problem with that, who's going to give up that money that they get for going to a BCS Bowl game? Right now, teams are getting anywhere from $17 to $20 million just to go to the Fiesta Bowl or the Sugar Bowl or the Rose Bowl. And now you're going to tell those teams at this point that you're going to go and play in that game, and then next week or the week after that bowl game, you're going to play again. It's too much money in this system right now for people to get involved.
Let me tell you who could make that money.
Okay. Well, we go to these phone lines real quick at 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
My name is Troy Walker,
Yes, sir.
and I got a question for the panel. You guys talked about Illinois, the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl. How do you think they would fare in either of those bowl games?
I'll turn to Wayne first and let him start with that. How do you think Illinois is going to fare in the Rose Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl?
Well, it depends on who they play. Obviously, if they go to the Rose Bowl, it's probably going to be USC. I think, you just got to go out there. Them dudes in the Pac-10, they don't hit. Just get physical with them. Play keep away. Line Rashard Mendenhall up in that backfield, and you just force feed him the ball and keep that offense off the field. Just bring a Big Ten style of football to that game and just get physical with them. I think they'll be okay.
Bundy, what do you think would happen in the Rose Bowl? Illinois
don't want to play USC. Illinois don't want to play Florida. Illinois don't want to play.
Let him make his point. Let him make his point.
Illinois don't want to play USC, LSU, or Florida.
Right.
They're not ready for them kind of
What do you mean
teams.
they're not ready?
Kentucky
You know what?
was.
You're the
Why,
same-
well, wait a minute.
Kentucky was.
Let's ask him first of all. Why is Illinois not ready for those teams first?
They don't have the caliber players
you go.
to hang with them.
Man,
type
is
teams.
that
What
water
have
you
you been
drinking or is that
watching all
something
year?
else? Somebody check
Now,
them out.
one of the things that'll happen if Illinois does go to the Rose Bowl, they'll either play USC, as Wayne indicated, or if USC loses to UCLA, it could be Arizona State. If not Arizona State, it could actually be UCLA. In the Fiesta Bowl, the Big 12 usually sends a representative there. If Oklahoma beats Missouri in the Fiesta Bowl,
Rematch.
now, no, Oklahoma
Oklahoma goes,
is the Big 12 champ.
Yep.
Illinois against Oklahoma in that particular game, or maybe Kansas.
Yeah.
What would you see in terms of that style of play where Oklahoma going up against Illinois, the style of play that they play down there in the Big 12?
I mean, as for Illinois, you can't change what you do. Like I say, play keep away. You got a running game that's putting up 300 yards a game. I ain't never seen nobody win without the football. I mean, they proved that against Ohio State. Ohio State, we all expected to come back in the fourth quarter. But guess who had the ball in the fourth quarter? Illinois.
Now, one last thing. Caller, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
One last thing about what's going to happen in these bowl games, which I really have a big problem with. Illinois' last game was what, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
It says it's going to be a 44-day layoff.
A 44-day layoff. Will we see the Illinois team that played against Ohio State or even Northwestern, or will we see a slow, out of sync, and rusty Illinois team playing in a BCS game?
It's a different Illinois team. That's
It's a different coach.
That's what y'all got to understand. See, Illinois, they surprise people. Now the surprise is over. They beat Ohio State. Illinois really should have been undefeated this year. They should have beat Missouri. Okay, they lost to Iowa 10-6. They really should be undefeated this year. So it really doesn't make no difference who they play in USC or whatever, because I think Illinois can play with anybody. Like you said, they got one of the best running games in the country. Only thing that scares me about Illinois is the secondary. They can be a little shaky every now and then.
But did they or did they not show up against Ohio
They
State?
showed up. So all I'm saying is, Illinois, there's no.
And Dollar, you just speaking about one game.
It's a new ball game.
One game. You play the game of your life, anything can happen.
Well, I tell you what, just for them to make it, as I said earlier, to whether it be the Fiesta Bowl
it's
or
good.
the Rose Bowl, is an accomplishment in itself. What the outcome will be, as we've seen in this wacky world this year
I got a
for the
question
football season, it's been really crazy. So all I can say is that if they get out there and play like they did against Ohio State, we're looking for a victory here. If they get out there and play like they played against Iowa, Enough
That's
said.
any team.
You know. And that's the reason why I said this layoff.
Yeah.
This layoff, you don't know what team is going to show up
But
in the
they
bowl
geek.
game.
But Carl, I can tell you this: if Illinois goes to the Rose Bowl, you won't see a duplicate of the '84 Illini team. They're going to play a lot better, and they might come on with the little, with the little cheese in their hand.
Well, Troy, we appreciate you hitting us at UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. You give us a call anytime Friday night, 8 o'clock. Take care.
Mendenhall, he's a beast.
Now, we talked a lot about Illinois football. Let's roll over to the basketball team. They just got back from Hawaii. They played over there in the Maui Classic. And then they took on Maryland in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. But we go back to the phone lines. 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name. Tell us where you call from.
My name's
Tell it
Jordan.
like it is. Caller, go ahead.
All right, I had a question about football. Do
Okay.
you think if Rashard Mendenhall goes to the draft, what draft do you think he would go, and what do you think he will? I guess.
Wayne,
And that's it.
where do you think Mendenhall is going to go?
I gotta say first or second round, no lower than second.
No lower than second?
round. I mean, clearly McFadden, he's been the hottest running back for the past 2 or 3 years. But when you talk about Mendenhall, you're talking about breakaway speed and power to run inside the tackles. So, and he can catch out of the backfield as a prototypical running back in the NFL.
Excellent point. Caller, we appreciate you calling UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. We got another caller on the line, 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name. Tell us where you're calling from. Tell it like it is.
Yeah, this is Roy Beard.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Dollar? Joe?
What's happening?
Bundy?
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right. Hey, I'm just calling to make a comment on what Dollar said, man. You know what? He's right. The football team is different. I mean, these guys, man, I'm telling you guys, and it's going to change here. And these guys have gotten accustomed to winning games now. So I just want to comment on what Dollar said.
And they geek, man. Illinois is geek. They are so fired up right now. They're ready to,
To go on what he said,
Good point, Roy.
I think that Illinois might be the closest, out of all the teams in the Big Ten, they might be the closest to an SEC team in the league. So, with the speed, coming out of the backfield, and you got, Aurelius Ben and the other receivers starting to step up now. So it's not your typical Big Ten team that's slow and can't get up and down the field with these other teams.
I will say this. I think that the key to what has happened in this 9-3 season, especially in the last quarter of this season, the passing of Juice Williams. I think a lot of times we look at the spread offense and see how Illinois has been able to run the ball, which they've been consistent on running the ball all season. But I think the difference between the beginning of the season when they took on Missouri and played in their early Big Ten schedule, and right now the difference has been the passing of Juice Williams. It doesn't mean he has to throw for 200 or 300 yards, but it does mean when there's a third down conversion at hand, he's got to complete the pass and move the chains. He did that in the last 3 or 4 ball games. That's the reason why Illinois is 9-3.
Honestly, Joe, the biggest difference is they're catching the ball now. He was getting passes. True, I know he was throwing it over the air too, but now you're starting to have the receivers actually catch the ball on third down to keep the drives alive.
Right.
That make you a dangerous threat.
Yeah.
Well, Roy, we appreciate you calling UPTV Channel 6. Take care. Now, as I said earlier, appreciate you guys calling 328-8280. If you want to, you got any questions about anything related to sports, give us a call. We're here every Friday night, 8 o'clock. Tell it like it is. We got the old fogey back, Lou Holtz's cousin. Appreciate you coming by and checking us out.
Skip Holtz.
We've got about 10, 15 minutes left in the show. Let's get in real quick, like I said earlier, on Illinois basketball. They went out to Maui. They won 2 out of 3 in the tournament. They beat Hawaii, the University of Hawaii, before they played in the tournament. They came back earlier this week and took on Maryland in a Big Ten ACC Challenge and lost 69-61. At this point, they play Weber State Saturday. Where does Illinois go from here in terms of what you guys have seen so far in the first 6 games?
Let me just say this. Thank goodness they're in the Big Ten. Okay, because I think, they're not going to do as well, but they're going to be good in the Big Ten. I think because Big Ten is weak. I think the only they got is they got Indiana is a good team. Michigan State. Them are probably the 2 top teams in the Big Ten. So I think Illinois is going to do good in the Big Ten. They may make it to the tournament, but if they go, they might have them a
I
drink.
just got one question. Bruce, if you're watching, tell Big Wayne what happened to Rodney Alexander in the second half of that game against Maryland.
Well, that's a big question all week.
That's an excellent question.
I mean, did he get in trouble?
Did he cuss him out in the locker room at halftime or one of the timeouts or something?
The thing about it, when you coming from a trip from Hawaii, you coming from way out there, Illinois should have had a little game before they played Maryland to get their legs back up under, because they lost their legs in the second half.
That's an excellent point.
They were tired.
I think a lot of people expect athletes to play at the same level,
They don't
regardless
have
of where they're playing. And like you just indicated, they flew from Hawaii, came back to Champaign. They didn't have another game until they played Wednesday. You think that's Bruce?
Hey, Bruce.
We'll find out. Caller, tell us your name, tell us where you're calling from, tell it like it is.
This is Kim again.
Hey, Kim.
I just want to listen to you guys, but I have a question. What did you guys think about the player Pruitt and Randall? To me, I think that they've been there so long. I'm just disappointed with the lack of progression they've made, given that I think they're seniors, right?
And Kim,
okay, I'll
let me
listen
give
to your
you.
call.
He's a fifth-year senior.
Right, now let me give you 2 quick stats. Sean Pruitt,
He's that guy.
shooting 41% from the field and 48% from the free throw line. Brian Randall is shooting 52% from the field and 50% from the free throw line. These are supposed to be your 2 leaders on your basketball team. And then I'm going to throw another player in there just for good measure. Chester Frazier. His assist to turnover ratio, 18 assists, 19 turnovers.
No points.
You got those 3 guys through the first 6 games of the season. You got guys shooting 50% from the free throw line. You got a point guard that's got a less than a 1-to-1 ratio handling the ball. There's your issues right there.
Keep in mind, one of them games, Pruitt was, 9 for 9 from the line?
You know.
So the other 4 games, he's been horrible.
It comes down to this. Randall, hey, Ken, let me tell you something. Out of all 4 of us right here, he's 42, he's 46, he's 40, I'm 29. We can take Pruitt and Randall. Randall is soft as toilet paper. In Pruitt, what did he go to draft for? Who's he gonna pick him? Who's gonna pick him up? Especially at this year.
I think that was an NBD deal.
Maybe he get a big go back to that. But Randall, he's an injury prone dude. All I'm saying is, Kim, these 3 old guys and me, I think we could have played better in Hawaii if they had shipped us to the ship. You heard me?
I smell you and I hear you. I'm smelling him all right. You got a nice barrier reef coming over here. But Kim, we appreciate you hitting us back.
He's telling it like it is.
Tell like it is. You take care.
Tell like it is, Kim.
Now, one of the other things, the Big Ten ACC Challenge. When are they gonna stop this beat down?
Please, thank you.
Stop this thing.
Switch it up, man.
No.
You got
No.
the Big Ten is. Wayne, I'm gonna say this right now.
I'm tired.
The Big Ten has never won the Big Ten ACC Challenge.
Okay,
Let me finish this point.
Go ahead.
Michigan State, Indiana, and Penn State were the only ones who won.
Go ahead.
Northwestern got beat by 105 points.
Go ahead.
Illinois, other than when they can get somebody at home,
Who has
You
ever
know,
won
It balanced out,
in
Joe.
November, man?
When Michigan
Well, I tell you
State
what,
beat
who-
NC
Who
State.
had- all I know, other than
all I
last
know,
year,
okay, I'll
in the
respond.
2000s, at least 2-3 teams in the Sweet 16, Elite 8 from the Big Ten, maybe 2 in the Final Four for at least 3, 4, 5 years out of.
Who's been the
Big
NCAA
Big Wayne,
champion?
we not talking about that. We talking about this tournament. This little
This
tournament they got now.
ACC tournament.
It don't
This
mean
thing is
nothing in November,
ridiculous.
man. You want to be there in March.
To me, it does mean
Understand that.
something.
Yeah, but
You want to be there in March.
But we've been there in March, but we ain't won anything because the ACC is the one winning the titles. Whether it be North Carolina, whether it be Duke, whether it be Maryland, we go down that list. The only teams that really have given us an opportunity to win, Indiana in 2003 made it to championship game. They lost to Maryland. Michigan State, they've been to the Final Four. They're the last Big Ten team to win a title.
2000, 2001.
Right, so you got to go all the way back then. Right now, the Big Ten is not even close to being on level
At least
with
one
the
Big
ACC.
Ten team in the title. I mean, I know we ain't winning them, but
still, that's just like Illinois going to St. Louis for bragging rights game. We want to win that every year. We don't want to we going up there wasting our gas money. They're going to beat us every year, and then no, man.
True
you,
that.
You don't want to win. It's like a bragging type of thing.
Get tired of driving the
when all
car.
these cats
You won't be able to
graduate from
pass
school
the seat.
and they don't make it to that next
What
level, and they are
you supposed to
businessmen,
lay
and
down
they
and
see
say, no,
these
we
dudes.
won't play y'all
It's
no
bragging
more?
rights game.
We already done laid down.
so what you just
We've
wanna
lost
lay down
every
and say,
year.
Okay, I give.
We have. ESPN
They
up
ain't
here.
said we
When
give,
Penn,
but they didn't. It's
when
not
Penn
right.
State, Indiana, and Michigan State are the only
You
teams
keep playing.
that win. How many years are we going to have to go through this embarrassment of the Big Ten not being able to beat the
Panel,
ACC is the question.
Not to cut y'all, panel, you remember when they had the Elite Eight You remember they used to have that?
Yeah.
The Final Eight used to play like in November. I'd like to see that come back again. You take the team, the Elite Eight last year, the Grade 8. Play them again. Get rid of this ACC stuff.
Yeah, well, this Big Ten ACC challenge, like I said,
It means something. It really does.
I'd rather
I'm
be
gonna tell you-
Maryland than Savannah State, you know.
Wayne, I will say this.
Games for the tournament.
But you also need these games for one key thing, recruiting. And if I'm a player and I see Duke, Maryland, Carolina consistently beating the people in the Big Ten, why would I want to come to the Big Ten? I want to go, I want to hang out with the winners.
Right,
But the victor goes to spoil.
But real quick, one more point, but real quick, it's just like this. You an ACC man, I'm a Big Ten man, okay? Every year, ACC business, we graduated, we got businesses, we businessmen, all of a sudden you see me, and we at the bar drinking or whatever, all you was talk about, I don't want to hear it, man.
Right.
It's not about we need it, it's also about bragging rights. It's about, man, when you go somewhere, you see this dude, you know, all right, man, look here, man, back in the day, ACC.
So if you run the
Be like,
Big
no,
Ten
you
as
remember
a
back in
commissioner,
2007,
do you
we
say
smashed
I
y'all.
give? As the commissioner of the Big Ten, do you say I give?
I don't know if you say I give, but I do know this.
Let's switch it up. Let's do a finger roll or something. You know what I mean?
We might want to exclude some of our teams from participating in this thing.
Northwestern go.
Right.
No.
Don't let Penn State, even though they won this year.
Minnesota,
let them go.
we got to cut them out.
Right.
Penn State, even though they won, we got to cut them out. Northwestern, we got to cut them out. And then maybe next year, when they do the Big Ten ACC Challenge, all the games will be in the Big Ten until we can win the series. Now, we're going to wrap the show up. We just got a few minutes left. UPTV Channel 6, tell it like it is. Lively debate about the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Guys are really talking some good stuff. Now, we're getting ready to go into, what was it, week 14?
Week 14.
NFL.
Bears will be in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, before
Start with a victory over who?
before
As
we
long
get
as everybody else keeps losing, Bears gonna be there.
well, before we
I'm just telling you, man. You know what?
that might work.
If Bears win, keep winning, everybody keep losing, we gonna get there, man.
Bud, I'm gonna come to you first. First game, they just brought it up. The Bears take on the New York Giants. Last week, the Giants.
Oh, man, later. Eli made later egg. He's coming back.
So we take
He's
on.
coming back this week.
Who?
The Giants will beat the Bears.
No, I'm gonna tell you something. Everybody knows what to do with Eli. Spooking, rushing. He can't handle the blitz. He can't handle the pressure. Spooking. Pull his hair over his head. Spooking.
You are spooking me right now. If I was Eli Manning, I'd be spooked.
You know?
You are
Spooky.
you're spooky. Now, the question, obviously, I think I got my answer.
It's hot in
Wayne,
here.
Bears, Giants, who's gonna win?
Bears.
Bears. I mean,
The Bears.
it's gonna be a little nippy up there, man. You know, go
Hey.
up there.
The
wind
Bears.
gonna be
It don't get
blowing
cold.
in.
It don't get cold in New York, huh?
The Bears.
Hey, I don't know if you get cold coming off that lake, man.
I'm gonna come back to you
All
on
right.
this next game. Last week I got attacked, or 2 weeks ago, I got attacked for not putting my team out there for the pick. Minnesota Vikings are 5-6. They've won 2 in a row. They go home.
consistent.
They take on the Detroit Lions. I'm not talking to you right now. They take on the Detroit Lions. The Lions are coming in 6-5. They've lost 2 in a row. This is for the last wild card spot. Give me your pick.
Detroit. Minnesota's not 'cause Detroit.
I don't know, man. I got.
Oh, he got him.
Minnesota.
You
I gotta
stumped
go
him.
Minnesota.
Detroit.
Wayne goes with it.
I
You
gotta
go with
go with
Detroit.
Detroit.
Bundy, who you go with?
It'd be Minnesota if AP plays.
Hey, well, all day we'll be playing.
And if
Minnesota will win that game.
Bullfrog had a glass rear, he wouldn't be hopping either. We can't go on this.
Okay, but we're gonna go with yours, Detroit.
Detroit.
Okay. Next game coming up in the NFL, Jacksonville goes to Indy. This is for the AFC South.
That was my
Indy is
Jaguars.
9-2. They got a lot of injuries on the play. Jacksonville's 8-3.
Jags.
Jags.
For some reason, that's a tough game for Indianapolis, but I'm going to go with Peyton.
Peyton, who you going with?
Jags.
You going with the Jags? So we got 2 Jags.
Yeah, they are.
We got 2 Jags and 2
They are,
Peytons.
yeah.
I'm rolling with you, Dolly Dollar.
Hey,
The Indianapolis Colts.
How
We're
yellow
gonna go with
stick
that.
together.
we got about 30 seconds, Joe. Ryan,
Right, we got about 30 seconds. I will say this. I want to thank you for coming back, even though, man, I need like a salad shield or something right here next week. UPTV Channel 6.
But one thing, Evel Knievel died today.
Evel Knievel, he died, and then the guy from who invented Gatorade died. You know he died. You know what he died from, don't you?
Dehydration.
There you go. So, sorry that happened
That
to
ain't
him.
funny, y'all.
We appreciate you checking us out. UPTV Channel 6.
Big Bron Joe Stone, Big Wayne Dog Bill. See ya.